Becky Lynch came out to address her actions from SummerSlam. Charlotte won the championship. As you all know, Becky snapped, beat her up. She said Charlotte deserved what she got, and the crowd cheered for it. When she said this, she said SummerSlam should have been about her winning the championship. Yes, it should have. Yes, it should have. And then she healed on the fans by saying that you act like you're with me, but you're really not. And they cheered for her anyway. She said there was no hashtag for me. There was no boycott for me. She said when Charlotte won, the fans cheered for her. So that's the logic they're using in this promo here. To try to, convince you that Becky was in the wrong and she should have a reason to blame the fans. Because people cheered for Charlotte. There was an audible cheer when the referee hit 3 and she won the title. Yes, they cheered for Roman Reigns too. That doesn't mean they like them. It means that they were happy they saw a title change. When John Cena made his big surprise return at the Royal Rumble in 2008, the building exploded. Because it was a great surprise that nobody saw coming. Nobody had predicted it. But guess what? As soon as he hit the ring, he got booed. Because people remembered, hey, we don't like this guy. But people are always going to cheer for the big moments, believe me. So Charlotte comes out, and she goes after Becky. This huge brawl breaks out. They booed Charlotte. They cheered for Becky. It was the same exact reaction that happened in that very same building in Brooklyn 2 nights earlier. And I watched this, and I just thought to myself, WWE gonna WWE. That's my new phrase. They're going to do what they do best. They miscast people. Charlotte should be the heel. Becky should be the babyface. They built Becky Lynch up for months as this great underdog, only to turn her heel. And then they have her come out on TV and rail against the fans for not being with her. That is real. Honestly, the only part of this I didn't like, of this whole promo segment, was that part. That's the part that I didn't like. It just is completely disingenuous for them to think that the fans are actually going to buy into this false notion that the people are not behind Becky Lynch. It is obvious that the people are behind Becky Lynch. So we can't take anything that she says seriously when it comes to that. They were never not behind her. And then I see Road Dogg on Twitter responding to people, going on the defensive about this storyline that I'm sure he had some hand in. One person tweeted at him saying, the story that we've been told is Becky has had to fight and struggle to earn an opportunity at the title. Charlotte was just handed an opportunity and took the moment away from her best friend. Becky is right and justified in everything she says and is in no way a bad person. To which Road Dogg responded, that's not the story you were told. That's the story you wanted to hear. She had to do the exact same thing that Charlotte did, which is beat Carmella. They both climbed the same exact mountain. That's what Road Dogg said. Now, technically, he's not wrong in that Charlotte, she wasn't simply gifted a championship match. She had to beat Carmella on TV, which Becky also had to do, to qualify for a title match. So I wouldn't say Charlotte was just handed an opportunity necessarily. I think that person could have worded that tweet better, but Road Doggy Dog over here is telling people they both climbed the exact same mountain. What? What? Did Road Dogg look up at the solar eclipse without a pair of sunglasses on, huh? Did he fry his eyeballs? What is he looking at? That's not true. This is coming from somebody who obviously is very closely involved in the creative process on that show. That's some scary shit. That he honestly believes that. That this is the way they actually think about these things. Becky's character didn't just beat Carmella on TV 1 week to earn a title match at SummerSlam. Becky started racking up wins months ago. After doing nothing for the last year. Losing, that's what she was doing. She was an afterthought. And then, very quietly, she started winning matches. She didn't win at Money in the Bank, but she was winning every week on TV. She was beating Mandy Rose, she was beating Sonya Deville, she was beating this person and that person, and racking up wins. Until finally, people started to take notice And then she beat Carmella on TV to earn a title match at SummerSlam. This was a months-long journey for this character. Charlotte comes back. She came back on the July 31st episode of SmackDown. She saved Becky from a beatdown by Carmella. By the end of that show, her very first night back, she beat Carmella, and Charlotte is added to the championship match at SummerSlam. She got the shot because Paige was pissed at Carmella and wanted to punish her, and so she put her in a match with Charlotte, which Charlotte won. How is that the same thing? That's the same mountain. Really? I'd love to take a look at this mountain. I've never seen a mountain like that before. Now look, in the end, bitchy Becky may end up winning the title. She may end up being more entertaining than wacky babyface Becky, just like Dean Ambrose, right? We had wacky Dean. I'm done with wacky Dean. I'm ready for heel Dean. You could make the same argument here for Becky Lynch. She was this very sort of off-the-walls, wacky character and jokey, and now she's all serious, and she's, it's almost like the dark side of Becky Lynch. Hey, what's Solomonster? What's not to like, right? Don't you love it when people turn and they get more dark and more serious? Generally speaking, yeah, I do, actually. And I'm not saying this won't work. I'm just saying that it's being disingenuous if you're trying to argue that these two had the same path and that Becky Lynch, has a storyline beef, a legitimate beef here with the fans. And that's how you justify turning this woman heel after all these months of building her up as this great underdog? Really? Don't treat us like idiots and act like, oh, silly internet fans, LOL, am I right? Right? Silly internet fans? Shut up. They're in Toronto this Tuesday. I realize that too. So I suspect the reaction for the two of them won't be much different than it was in Brooklyn. So yet another week. Charlotte will come out. She'll be booed. Becky will come out. She can heel on the fans all she wants to. It's going to be an uphill battle to get her booed. But they could always chalk that up to being in Bizarro World, I guess, right? Lost in all of this, because I don't want this to come off as just being completely negative on all the Becky stuff. Lost in all of this was how fucking good Becky was with her promo. Like, the part where she ragged on the fans aside, right? I don't blame her for that. But that was way more talking, I think, than I've ever seen her do in a WWE ring since she came up to the main roster. And I thought she did a great job with it. Then she posted this tweet. She said, if you watched the show on Tuesday, you saw Charlotte when she came out on SmackDown. She walked out and she was sort of holding the championship. And she kept yelling at Becky. She's like, this is what you turned on me for? And she kept saying that over and over. So Becky tweeted this. She said, this is the SmackDown Women's title. Charlotte, I left home for this at 17. I broke ground for this in Japan and Europe while you were playing volleyball and getting a tan. I've built my life around this. So you're damn right I'm coming for this. And you. Be ready. Now that's the promo that she should have cut on TV. That was fucking great. But, again, just to go back to the whole blaming the fans thing, it's cheap heat. Unless you have a legitimate reason to blast the fans, it comes off as just cheap heat. And she doesn't have a legitimate reason to heel on the fans. But here's the positive of all this. More people talked about Becky Lynch this week than any other single week of her entire career. And her attack on Charlotte at SummerSlam got the biggest reaction of anything on that entire SummerSlam card. Plus, it keeps her in the title picture for a while, so that's good. She's not just being demoted back down the card. If you are a Becky Lynch fan, these are all positive things. But that little Twitter exchange, and I do like Road Dogg. He's not a bad guy. I don't get the sense that, he's a bad dude who just shits on people or anything like that. I think it's kind of nice to see somebody as high up as he is on the food chain there engaging with fans on social media, even if it does, I think he does so to his own detriment sometimes. But when he says stuff like that, it just comes off as so tone deaf. Like, what planet are these people living on? That they cannot seem to understand why the fans would react the way that they did, or they just chalk it up to the fans are they're just being contrarian. That's just what they do. And it's infuriating because it's so easy to just sort of chalk it up to that, right? That's just the easy way out. But you and I know that that's not the case. But this is how they think.